Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to start by acknowledging that this meeting is respectfully held on the traditional territory of the Saikas First Nation, on whose land we live, work, and play. You have an agenda circulated. We have one late item, 6.6, that's distributed on your desks. Would somebody like to move adoption as amended? Seconder? All in favor? Carried. We have the minutes from the June 24th regular council meeting. Would somebody like to move adoption? Seconder?
Second.
Any discussion coming out of the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. The bylaws, no delegations, so we'll go right down to 6.1, public transit bylaw. This is up for adoption. Seconder? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. 6.2, we have the direct award for the arena upgrades. Somebody want to move the recommendation? Seconder? Any discussion on that? All in favor? Carried. Perfect. 6.3 in the Chaco Avenue water main replacement. We have a recommendation there. Does somebody want to move? Seconder? Any discussion on that? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Lozzie.
CFO Stewart, did you get it? Like, is there any, I'm just shocked at the price difference. Like, it's quite large, and I'm just wondering if I'd like to understand why. Was there a breakdown? Do you get a breakdown at all? Did they?
Yes, we do. So we get a breakdown of where the discrepancies are, and the largest amount was in the paving, and we don't know why. So that's probably negotiated between the actual prime contractor and the pavers. So
Okay.
it's a difference between what they're charging each of them based on project.
Okay, but otherwise,
Otherwise,
they were
pretty
pretty
much in
similar.
line, yeah.
Okay,
They use about the same subcontractors as well.
okay, good. That was my question.
That's great to know because that was my concern as well.
Yeah.
And it was the same on the other project between two similar. Yes, it was.
Yeah. Just didn't know whether they were, somebody's really busy, so they put in a high bid.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know.
Yeah.
We used to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. 6.4, NDIT grant application for community garden power. We have a recommendation there. Seconder? Discussion. Councillor Frankel.
What happens, I guess this is for staff. What happens if we don't get the funding? Are we still going to put the power in this year?
Yeah, the next RAC meeting is 2 months away at least, right?
And for this, this grant intake, so. But we can approve the project. If it's a project that council would like to go ahead with, we can make a resolution to go ahead with the project. If the grant is unsuccessful and use either attraction retention or general surplus.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'd hate to say to our funders that we're going to fund it before we apply for the money, right? So I'd rather apply for the money, but commit to the project and not say this is where it's going to come from until we get declined. Because if I don't know how it works. If I'm a funder and I see, well, they're going to approve it anyway from their community forest or their attraction retention, why would they, why would we fund them? So thought?
Would we still be able to line things, like BC Hydro is going to be the sticking point. Are we still able to line things up with Hydro
So
So-
they said that it's about a month out once you let them know. It could be a month or two before they're available to actually do the work. So we might be into next year anyways, but because we're using a later intake of NDIT, I think that we can do the contract to span spring or part of summer of 2025 so that the grant could still be utilized if we're approved early 2025. But I haven't seen that funders particularly go and look and see if we've funded it from another source. I think they know that we try to get grants to fund our projects, and some projects are something we want to do for the community anyways, so they understand we're looking for best value.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's gonna hamper our ability to,
Okay.
succeed in the grant if we decide that we want to go ahead if we're unsuccessful.
Sounds good. We haven't,
Maybe you should make two separate motions,
I would make
Yeah.
two.
because the first one has to go to NDIT. The
Yes.
application, the part about funding it anyhow.
and that is the recommendation as written. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Franco.
I'd like to make a motion to the community garden power project that we move forward if unsuccessful this year. If unsuccessful from our funders, yeah. However that,
Yeah.
wordsmither.
And that the funds come.
I think
Yeah.
attraction and retention.
Yeah. Do you have a seconder? Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. So 6.5, 2024-34 Canada Community Building Fund Agreement. You have a recommendation there? Seconder? Any discussion on that? All in favor? Carried.
I just have a comment,
Yep.
just so everyone understands that all the funds received in any given year will be required to be fully expended on eligible projects within 5 years. So we can only accumulate it for 5 years and then it has to be spent. And then the next 5 years, then it has to be spent. Also, any funds that we have right now from the 2014 to the 2024, from the 2013 to 2024 program has to be spent within 5 years of entering into this agreement, which is now. So within 5 years, we need to spend our last money plus 5 years of the new money.
Get it done.
Yeah, and we do have 2 projects on the books this year. It's the Nechako Avenue Water Main Project. So we have about $1 million in there, 500 and some is going towards this one. We have Clark Avenue Design, which we've done this year. Clark Avenue Water Mains being replaced next year with the remainder of the funds. So we'll have spent prior funds and we'll be into the new agreement.
Awesome. Good, thank you. 7.1, 6.6, I took the little note off. Okay, 6.6, we have a recommended resolution there. Yeah, yeah, sounds good.
That the closure of Church Street between Columbia and Victoria Streets West be from 1 PM to 12 AM on Saturday, July 20th, 2024. For the concert in the park be approved and that staff notify BC Emergency Health Services and the RCMP detachment.
That was you moving it?
Yes.
Do you have a seconder? Yeah. Perfect. Any comments, questions? Go ahead, Councillor Vandola.
Parking. So we've had, I see we just recently, even regarding the farmer's market, there's been a number of folks that complained about the parking in the area, lack of parking. I'm just wondering, have we put any thought into what the type of parking issues we could arise due to this event?
Sure. So just maybe to back up a little bit, what this is for, it's only closing in front of the church in Valhalla. And it's where food vendors that need power will
Oh,
be set
okay.
up so that we can draw power from those locations to power the food vendors. So it's just that little segment and it just makes it, because we're taking up all the power over at the other side and have things.
Okay.
So it's, you won't be able to go through is the
Yeah,
downside, but
that's right.
it just closes that little bit to,
There's more traffic on my street.
yeah.
But there'll be actually less parking available.
It will take up some parking for sure.
Yeah, like if you're
Mhm.
gonna use that pavement piece between Stewart and area, not from Stewart. Church. On Church, but from Victoria
From the RCMP driveway.
Yeah.
To the
to
end of
Victoria.
the church.
That's a big church.
The church.
The church, right, yeah.
The church.
Which is really only not even two lots.
Yeah.
It's just, kind of.
Then they have the farmers,
Oh, yeah.
so that'll be used up, that'll be blocked off.
Yeah. For sure.
That'll make your street.
It will, yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
I
it's
don't
one
hear
thing that
from
could be
there.
taken to note, depending on how many vendors there are, maybe how big that area could
Yeah,
be
yeah.
modified, right? Just to keep it as much parking available as possible.
It is a bigger concern.
Oh, for sure. I'm just wondering, do we have has there been any thought put into adding additional parking to Furland, especially knowing that the farmers market group went to stay there? I mean, what's happening now is the laneway, as indicated in the letter, people do, and I'm right there, they park in that no parking area, which is essentially is supposed to be a sidewalk. And so it blocks all that off. We've had, even for me on Thursday, like there's been, handicapped people with electric wheelchairs are driving down the middle because it's so tight. And of course, and everybody's getting antsy, trying to get around, trying to sneak in a place or get out of there and whatever. But it's it'd be interesting to know if there was a plan to maybe expand parking in the one corner across from, my house on that one side there, because it's a rarely used place in the park. And it could accommodate, and it's a level space place and it could accommodate parking.
Don't think that's part of this motion,
No, that was
but it is
it was
something to think
conversation,
about.
right?
And I think a Parks Master Plan too is something that we need, so we
Yeah,
really look at what we have, how we go forward, right? And
Yeah, cause I don't, even for, if we move the farmer's market to Riverside, I think the parking's still gonna be an issue there, so I think
Yep.
we're one of these, places where we just need additional parking.
any more comments? All in favor? Carried. Councillor Items. I'm getting my papers all muddled up now. Okay, Environment Committee. Chair Franco, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, your worship. Yeah, just a couple things there out of that environment meeting. Trying to move ahead on a few items, we're talking about our Fort Ware project, and the greenhouses and all of that stuff. But we had two action items that came out of the last environment committee meeting. The first, we'd like to get the environment committee request that we as council direct staff to send a letter to the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change requesting a purple air report with maps for Vanderhoof. So if you remember that, the lady needed that resolution so she could get us a map in camera.
Yeah.
So,
So that's radon.
Radon.
oh, sorry.
We haven't actually done.
But we want maps for both.
Yeah, we love maps. Sorry. Got him confused.
Yes.
We like maps.
Yeah. So the first one is for the purple air map and then, so that would be the first action. The second action is that we get brownfields back in front of the North Central Local Government
Yeah,
Association. Because we need to look at that. So I would like to move the first action item that we get a purple air report with maps for Vanderhoof.
Second.
And then I would also move that we would engage NCLGA to advocate for addressing the brownfields in northern British Columbia. Yes. All done, thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna look at the housing committee. So we had a meeting on, golly, June 19th, I believe. And I just wanted to, something we've been talking about for a number of years on our housing committee now has been unsightly lots and how they're not appealing for people to build on. So I just wanted to bring up that we have now got a bylaw, are working on a bylaw for ticketing, and we do have a bylaw enforcement officer. So that was something that we brought up, and Royal Bank put out a report. I wanted the committee to have a look at that. And then again, we also, with our expanded scope in our terms of reference, we looked at different lots in town that might be suitable for development. And so we discussed that, and we also discussed the type of housing that we felt was the most urgent, I guess, to go ahead with, or to look at developing or encourage developers to come in and explore in our community. And we've determined that it was pretty much that middle income rental professionals coming into our community, because there is just a shortage of rentals. So yeah, that's what we have discussed, and we have a couple of action items that we would like that council look at. So yeah. That the housing committee recommend to council that appropriate lots be sold with restricted covenants. So looking at some of our lots, and you know, that if somebody is interested in purchasing a lot, that we would consider it with restricted. Yes,
So that's a motion?
yeah.
Could I just say something?
Yeah.
As land matters are in camera, I kind of prefer we leave these two action items.
Okay,
And discuss them in camera. They're on the agenda.
okay.
And then come back to the next meeting, if that's not too late in
That's-
August.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
thanks.
good. Yeah.
Just because there's some background the rest of council.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and I also attended on June 25th, a library board meeting, and they're in full bloom with their summer programs, but they also, and I'll bring this up to council too at a later time. But one of the suggested, they asked that we would look at, and I'll bring that back to council, is they had a great idea for tourism in our community. I know we were talking about, there's so many great things happening in Vanderhoof, and how do we get that out there? And other communities have bookmarks that they bring, that they put in the books that they lend out for interlibrary loans, that, for example, we could put our sturgeon in there. So anyway, that's something I'll bring back. And then July 4th.
Attended a couple of in-camera meetings this week, and as well, I was able to participate at the community breakfast for Canada Day, and both Councillor Young and I were pancake flippers. One of the challenges we had was we had all 400 people came at one time, and we had line up out into the main road there. So we had quite a number of people waiting in excess of 45, 50 minutes before they could get through the line up to get their pancakes. So it was, and of course, it was one of those situations, apparently, you know, we'd had two, you know, kind of grills before. Well, this year we only had the one. And so recommendation is that we make sure that a historical society, make sure that we always get at least two of these big units so we can have adequate number of pancakes being flipped at the same time. I mean, if you could, you still have the 400 people, but if you're doing it at a consistent pace and you're getting them through it'd be one thing, but we had a lot of people come all at once. And then of course we had challenges with the one griddle we had. It wasn't seasoned properly. And so it was burning everything. And so we had more pancakes going into the garbage can than we had.
I'm hearing a lot of excuses here.
And it's unfortunate Ken Young's not here to apologize. That's it for me.
Just trying to think what your mom would have said when I was in her foods class.
I don't have much to add to. I was gonna, if I got 400 people, I might start cutting them in half. You know, like get a little more. I'm just kidding. No, that was all good. I was gone obviously for a while. Missed the housing committee meeting. Councillor Lozay saying that it was good. I wanted to hear that report too, and that was really good. I did watch one council meeting that you had when I was gone. I watched it online and I thought it was actually really good. Like, you know, even though we laughed or whatever about it, I thought it was very informative and would have been there for as far as that went. Again, can't talk about it with the in-camera thing we did there in Fraser Lake, and that was really good. Going on with what you were saying as far as good things happening, I've heard, and again, I wasn't here, but I've heard so many good reports about that reunion, which is a positive thing for Vanderhoof. Like, I think if the takeaway for most people was what I've been hearing, then, well, that's really good. They were talking about already doing something else, you know, so that was good. I don't know if it's related to anything here, but I know, talking to a lot of people just in the business I am or whatever with the sawmill closures in Fraser Lake and all those kind of effect that it has on communities, and a lot of Vanderhoof's people are affected by that as well. You know, quite a few employees from here that were laid off, but I know they are offering, I can't say pushing, but they are offering retraining things for them already. I know that because I'm invited to one. So I mean, they are doing what they said they were going to do. So maybe that can help some of our local people that were affected too. So that's it for me.
No, we talked about the July 4th. We did the July 2nd CAN4 update. It falls back on what Councillor Martins was talking about. That will be it.
Awesome. I had a couple of opportunities to meet with Minister Ma when she was in Prince George. It was great to see the minister here for multiple days. Met with a lot of people while she was here, so great to see her up. And always good to get some face time with the minister, and especially I think she's got a promising career ahead. So I'm sure she'll be in a ministry, if not the same ministry, when we go forward. Canada Day and the reunion has been brought up. It was great. It was a super busy weekend. I think we had every hourly staff member had overtime that weekend. So just want to give a shout out to our employees for making these things happen. Like, that was a major feat, all the logistics. We were very involved in everything and good to go there. I wasn't at the pancake breakfast. Councillor Teed and I brought up the rear of the Mary John walk. So by the time we got there, I had to go to Riverside to start setting stuff up. No breakfast for the mayor. Community leaders meeting. I mean, it's stark out there for Rio Tinto for the watershed. They're anticipating the STMP to drop the reservoir by 2 feet. Like, it just blows your mind. They are importing power like mad now. They'll be importing power even heavier after STMP to try and level out the reservoir and keep it under control as they head into winter. The worry about having a winter failure of the reservoir, right? Of course, that should be top of mind for all of us here, because if that facility goes down, we've got problems. So it's something to keep on top of, and good to see them going there. Keeping with Rio Tinto, tomorrow I have a meeting with Amon, her couple of layers up bosses here that I think is head of community for Canada and Iceland. So a chance to meet her while she's in town and have a little bit of a chat. Today I was at a CNC advisory committee meeting. That the true advisory committee isn't going. This group is looking at CNC reinventing itself and what its campuses is, setting out with a new vision statement, how they're going to do things, how they can deliver similar programming, similar levels, quality of programming across the campuses, more of a unified, but still keep those campuses as a really viable, distinct thing. So it's that balancing act, right? So really encouraging words, and hopefully it comes along how it's being talked about, and we'll see that coming true in the future. As mentioned before, not to get into too many details, Councillor Franco, Councillor Van Dola, and I will be meeting with, unfortunately, you couldn't make or didn't get my text about the Campo meeting, but going forward, we'll be meeting with them as they go through challenges, just to keep a bridge of things and that. But one thing that was actually suggested to me today by the former mayor that I think isn't a bad idea that we kick around. There is a lot of angst in the community about the economy. And although there's going to be some tough times, I see our economy in a strong place. It's going to go forward. And I think it would be worth putting some time into thinking, should we do some sort of a town hall or something, come out and answer some questions, talk about ways going forward. So I'll reach out with councillors individually maybe and with staff, and we'll put our heads together and think about how we can do that. Because yeah, there's a lot of rumors circulating and a lot of angst that doesn't necessarily have to be there. We're in a transition time, but if we navigate that well, we will be fine. I think so. That's what my gut says, right? Yeah. Good. That is it from me. Anybody have any questions for anybody? Okay, we don't have to move that anymore. So we have 8.1, council priorities, as always, to remind us why we're here and doing things. 8.2, we have the detachment crime statistics. I will just quickly pull up here. Pretty similar. Yeah. And IRPs are up too, right? But the trouble with those numbers is if they concentrate on IRPs and doing some checks for a while, you're going to get the numbers going, right? It's so dependent on the enforcement actions. Awesome. And moving on to building permits, 8.3. A lot of rentals, eh? Yeah. Good.
Is the house up by, has it on?
I'm thinking that might be an offline question afterwards.
I just haven't.
Yeah.
The nurses' residence, like, are they continuing to reno? That,
Yeah, I haven't been in there
Yeah.
since we did it. I
yeah,
forget who was there when I did a tour of it
Yeah.
before.
yeah, I just was wondering how, is it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm meeting with Megan soon. I will
Yeah,
try to
does
get
it
in there and have a look.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It's
Yeah.
kind of needs a lot, I heard.
Good. Okay. Correspondence, and then we have adjournment. Declares adjourned.